to a LEGO City update. In today's update, we are focusing on one thing and one thing alone. The Fall Founders Day Parade. Today, I have a special commentary over the Fall Founders Day Parade, as well as a couple other tidbits around the city that have just been updated. Not changed, updated. So that the Fall Founders Day Parade can happen even better. So let's go over to Main Street and watch the parade. So this is the Fall Founders Day Parade. As you can see, it stretches all the way down Main Street, or at least what I have built of Main Street, and it starts with the marching band. At the beginning of the marching band, we have two color guard members, then we have the drum major, we have a clarinet, there's a flute. The flute is the only one with short legs. We have a saxophone, a trumpet, a trombone, a tuba or a sousaphone, a snare drum, and finally a bass drum. This makes up the Scottsdale High School Flaming Firebirds Marching Band. If I were the announcer, here is how the rest of the parade would be announced. And we can even give a little announcement to the high school band. The Scottsdale High School Flaming Firebirds Marching Band is performing their 2024 show of Flying High. They are flying high with colors of red, yellow, and tan as they march down Main Street. Following close behind is Mr. and Mrs. Mayor in their green convertible antique car. We can see Mr. Mayor waving to the patrons as Samantha, his wife, drives the car down the road. Next is the float by the railroad. We can see Bob and Carl, which are actually a couple railroad employees from a different branch of the railroad, here on the float, with a model steam locomotive built on the back so that they can have the steam locomotive. This float is one of the 4 entries into the float competition of the Fall Founders Day Parade. Stay tuned and you'll find out more about the winner. This float, Surf's Up, is by the surfing people. They don't have an official name, so we'll just call them the Surfers. We have these two wonderful people as the main representatives, and then they had such help from the rest of the surfers. This is the Space Association. We have a rocket ship built on top of what seems to be a space-themed float. And they even have a satellite and an astronaut as the main person. The 4th and final float is from the Navigators Guild. The Navigators Guild mainly focuses on hot air balloons or any other form of aerial transport that allows them to go adventuring. Right here, we have Paul. That's right, Paul. He has just landed his hot air balloon on this iceberg and is ready to greet the parade patrons. This is such an exciting parade as we have a lot of floats, which make for an interesting float judging competition. There is a lot that can be judged on these floats. For instance, the style, the amount of details, the time spent, obviously. And then there's also the consideration of how does the float actually look? Does the float seem to, float? For instance, the railroad only has one color plus the locomotive for their float, so they probably won't win. The surfers Although they have several colors, the float is kind of flat, with the surfboard just being flat. They do have a shark. This third float, from the Space Association. It makes good use of the space shuttle with the opening bay doors. However, it does not entirely float. It seems to have a little bit of a gap where you can see the wheels right there. Finally, the Navigators Guild. Their float is creative, with a hot air balloon, an iceberg, and the blue ocean all the way around. It seems promising, and this float might just win. Let's go over to my desk and we'll announce the winner. However, right before we do that, let me show you the couple things I had mentioned. So first, I have taken out the hot air balloon over here because, well, there's no need for me to have a hot air balloon in this North Plaza unless I'm going to have the hot air balloon festival. And I've also added a gap here and there so that when I'm building the rest of the city, which would go out like that in a huge area, we can have roads that lead that way and roads that lead toward us, the camera. Other than that, I haven't made much else other than the parade. So let's go find out who has won the coveted parade trophy. Over here at my desk, I am proud to announce the 2024 Parade Float Competition winners is the Navigators Guild. The Navigators Guild has built the exclusive hot air balloon. They have a hot air balloon, an iceberg, a raging sea, and an aviator. Oops, looks like their float isn't meant to be completely handled. Oh well, no matter. Their float seems to be doing just fine regardless of however I handled it. So we'll continue. Here is the parade trophy, which all float enterers want. So we'll just give that to Phil. That's right, Phil, not Paul. Who knows what I was thinking. But in second place, we have the Space Association with the nice space shuttle and the black starry space sky. Finally, in third, we have the Railroad with their kind of bland float that they've had for the past 2 years. This float is all white with a steam locomotive, the engineer, and the conductor. Hence why it got third. And that concludes the parade float judging. It also concludes our video. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and have a wonderful day. Goodbye!